We all have smoke alarms in our homes.
We go to the store, grab one off the shelf, put in a battery, and install it. But paying attention to the type you use can make a big difference in how quickly your family is alerted to a fire. WCCO's Jennifer Merrily put smoke alarms to the test, and what she found prompted a Minnesota fire marshal to change what he has in his own home.
Smoke alarms are by far the most effective way to get your family out safely when there's a fire. Still, statistics show 1 out of every 4 people who die in a house fire die when there's a working smoke alarm in the home.
If it starts getting smoke in here, just put this mask on.
So we went to one of the leading experts in Minnesota, Jamie Novak, to put them to the test. There are 3 types you can buy.
This is the ionization smoke detector. This is normally the one that most people have in their house because they're the most inexpensive. Ionization tend to detect open flaming fires faster, and photoelectric tend to detect slow smoldering fires faster.
There's also a dual sensor, which incorporates both technologies. With the help of Coon Rapids Fire Marshal Todd Williams, Novak mounted the 3 types to the ceiling of a Coon Rapids home. We first set a smoldering fire.
Now we'll simulate somebody falling asleep, dropping a cigarette in here.
A smoldering fire smokes for a long time before it turns to flames, if it ever does. The majority of people who die in a fire die from breathing in too much smoke, not the fire itself.
A lot of the slow smoldering fires tend to be at night when you're asleep and not going to react. A slow smoldering fire during the day isn't that big and dangerous because you should notice the smoke and have plenty of time to get out.
The dual sensor is the first to sound, 32 minutes and 40 seconds after the smoldering fire started. 10 seconds later, the photoelectric starts to blare. You can still see clearly through the room. Another 15 minutes go by, and the smoke started to irritate my lungs.
And it's starting to bother my eyes, so it's time to put the mask on.
This will help me with my breathing.
As time ticks by, the ionization smoke alarm still hasn't sounded. It becomes harder to see through the smoke. Novak eventually needs to put on a mask, and Williams decides it's time to retreat.
Definitely want to get out of this room. So if I would wake up without a smoke detector, sit up in a smoke condition, it would really be tough. Then you factor in sleeping and darkness. It would be scary at this point to get out of your house.
Nearly an hour after the photoelectric and the combination smoke alarm sounded, the ionization smoke alarm finally went off.
I truly am surprised at the big difference between the 2.
So how do the smoke alarms fare in a flaming fire? We're going to show you. This is your kitchen fire or children playing with matches. All 3 types went off within 3.5 minutes of each other. What's important to note is during our test, we could still get out safely when all of the smoke alarms sounded.
Do you think if more people had photoelectric smoke detectors in their home, more lives could be saved?
I think so. I think on some of the slow smoldering fires, that might be a big difference that make the difference between being alive or dead after a fire.
All right, you saw Todd Williams leave the room because of the smoke. After our test, he changed the smoke alarms in his home. Williams is a husband and father. He's also the fire marshal in Coon Rapids and a 26-year veteran of the fire industry. He was part of the 90% of the population who only had ionization smoke alarms in their homes. He decided to place them with the dual sensor alarms. So you're probably wondering, how do I find out what kind of smoke alarm I have? Well, you look on the back of it and the fine print should say ionization or photoelectric. And Frank, in a store, the front of the packaging should have it clearly labeled. For example, here it has a P for photoelectric.
Yeah, hard to see on TV, but it's easy to see to the naked eye. This is a real eye-opener. I have to imagine there's got to be a price difference between these 2 then, right?
There is. The most common kind, the ionization that most people have in their homes, is a lot cheaper. It's $5 to $10. The photoelectric is 20 and up, and the dual sensor is about 30 plus, and it could run you even more if they're hardwired in your home. The one thing that we want to stress is any working smoke detector is better than nothing.
Sure. And there's a dramatic difference then you showed us too as well.
There is a dramatic difference between them.
All right. Thanks, Jennifer.